Top of the top, y'all. It's your boy Real Estate Show tapping in, and today we're talking about a very, very hot topic. Whether you're an investor, a homeowner, or you're looking to buy a property, understanding these shifts is very crucial to your investing journey. All right, let's break it down. First up, let's talk about regulatory changes. President Trump has expressed intentions to reduce regulations in the housing sector. Now, his idea is that this could potentially lower construction costs and expedite building processes, which will ultimately address housing shortages in many areas in the U.S. Now, that's his idea. However, a lot of people feel like that deregulation might lead to oversight issues, which will ultimately impact building standards. So if he's taking away regulations, that means there are less processes for people to be able to build houses or get permitting and things like that. So if he takes away those regulations and certain things are not needed, that means a lot of things can go overlooked. And if you're considering paying today's prices for a new construction home, you don't want no steps skipped. You want everything lined out, all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. So you got a quality new construction project. But if some of these regulations go away, we'll see. Now, speaking of regulation reducing, let's talk facts, all right? Now, during the first Trump administration, HUD reduced the Obama era fair housing rules that require cities to submit detailed plans to reduce segregation in neighborhoods. So ultimately, with him reducing those regulations, what that means is it's not a lot of processes in place to stop segregation, meaning we could start to see a lot more segregation in certain areas. And if you pay attention, you probably have. And if he continues those type of deregulations in this administration, we could even see more of it. Could that mean redlining? We'll monitor the situation. All right, now on to tax policy. The Trump administration is currently aiming to extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provisions. Now, this could mean continued benefits for real estate investors, so I ain't hating on this at all.
No tax on tips.
Now, this could mean favorable treatment for things like pass-through income and potential extensions on opportunity zones, which could be really great for builders or developers. But there's also a concern that these policies might affect the federal tax deficit and ultimately interest rates, which is a huge problem right now already. These tax cuts could raise interest rates, and that's what we definitely don't want. Now, fun fact, the 2027 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provision allow real estate investors to write off 100% of property improvements, pretty much bonus depreciation, including things like appliances and landscaping in the first year. A lot of investors basically turn real estate investing into a legal tax shelter situation. They were earning income and writing off pretty much everything. Now, again, as a real estate investor, that's something I can get jiggy with. Moving along, labor. Now, labor is a very critical factor when we talk about real estate investing, especially new construction. The Trump administration stance on immigration, including stricter controls and more deportation, will directly impact the construction industry workforce. I mean, how could it not? A reduced labor pool will lead to increased costs. That's just how it's going to work. Increased building costs and project delays, which is ultimately going to raise the price of real estate, which will directly affect housing supply and affordability. Fun fact, the construction industry reports that nearly 30% of the workforce are immigrants. And in some states like Texas and California, I'm in Texas myself, that number can jump from 30 to 50%. Think about that. 50% of the labor pool is in jeopardy of being sent back to wherever they came from. This is going to heavily affect real estate markets. I mean, the effect will be devastating. Because think about it. When I'm remodeling my property, I have a Hispanic contractor, a guy that I love, does great work. When I go by these new construction and new development sites, I only see Hispanics working on those properties. So if they're all gone or their family members are gone or their lives are directly affected by this administration's regulations and we can't get those workers or get this work done, who's going to do the work? Because I don't know a lot of people who look like me who going to get out there and build a house. I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I ain't seen it. But let's move along. Now, speaking of cost, proposed tariffs on imported materials such as lumber and steel will also raise prices for both new construction and remodel projects. If the prices are raised for us as investors, then automatically this price is going to roll over to renters, to buyers, and anybody else looking to get into the market, which would ultimately push affordability out of reach, even more out of reach for a lot of people looking to get into the market or even stay into their homes or rent properties. Fun fact: when the Trump administration proposed tariffs on Canadian lumber in 2018, that led to a 20% increase in lumber costs for Americans, raising the price of a new single family home by $9,000 on average back in 2018. Something as random or silly as a trade war literally increased American home cost overnight by thousands of dollars. So I made a couple jokes in this video, but don't get it wrong, this is serious. Moving along, now let's discuss monetary policies. And while President Trump does not directly set interest rates, I'm sure that's something he would love to do, and he might write an executive order to do that, but right now is not the case. Right now, his administration's fiscal policies can still influence the interest rates. And certain policies that he has or he's looking to put in place right now could definitely increase inflation, which would increase interest rates. And increased interest rates will directly increase mortgage rates, which will affect people's ability to borrow money, again, pushing out the affordability of homes for a lot of US citizens. Fun fact: during his first presidency, Donald Trump put a lot of pressure and tried to get the Feds to reduce interest rates. And again, the Fed is technically independent, but during that presidency, Trump's tweets about interest rates and the Fed policy directly impacted the stock market. Single Trump tweet in 2019 wiped out over $1 trillion from the stock market in one day. So while he doesn't control the Fed, that alone shows how much influence he has over investor sentiment. And if you trade actively in the stock market, you know investor sentiment plays a big factor in prices going up or down. What does this all mean for you? If you're an investor like me, staying informed is going to be very key during this administration, my friend, because it's going to be a roller coaster ride, a lot of ups and downs, and you want to position yourself correctly. Now, if you're a homeowner, you might want to consider refinancing sooner than later if that's something that's been on your mind. Now, if you're a prospective buyer, someone looking to get into the market, just keep your eyes on the market trends because there will be a lot of opportunity. But definitely be prepared for potential shifts in the affordability of housing. All right, y'all. So that is a wrap on my personal analysis for today. Let me know how y'all feel about some of these market conditions that we talked about. How do you feel about Trump? How do you feel about tariffs? How do you feel about some of these policies that he's putting in place? And what role do you play in real estate? Are you an investor? Are you a homeowner? Are you looking to get into the market? So comment below and let's talk about it. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe for more information just like this. Again, I'm your boy Real Estate Show. And until the next time, tap in.